A huge percentile of your problem is largely a consequence of the absence of wisdom. Now, I know this sounds counterintuitive, and that's all this channel is about, providing unique solutions towards life problems. We do not adopt the mainstream approach towards problem solving. And it's a very astute approach to highlight the fact 70% of your problems are predicated on finances. It is not impossible to say there's a certain amount, if dropped into your account, a huge percentile of your problems would also disappear. However, relative to the resources you have, if wisdom applied, some things are unnecessary. For instance, a man called me recently. His wife was pregnant and they are going to do CS, and between you and I just have $20. $20. What the fuck do you mean by $20? Are you a child? Don't you know what pregnancy means? Why didn't you prepare? And he kept giving excuses. The problem with that situation is if you help such a person, it reinforces that bad behavior. Some people have the wrong mindset that in a negative situation, in a life and death situation, people are more likely to help, which is true, by the way. Individuals would help you more when you're on the deathbed, when you're confined to the hospital, as opposed to upon diagnosis. I have no idea why that is so, but it is the reality of life. Humans are more likely to give on your burial than when you're alive. That's how it is. So that's the first one. However, I've talked to you about the subconscious mind and how it operates generally. Subconscious mind, a belief held, it causes you to act in accordance, producing a negative outcome. So the subconscious have no idea whether it is right or wrong. The subconscious doesn't argue. The subconscious doesn't vet. So long as that belief is accepted, you would act in accordance and produce the matching outcome, negative or positive. Some of you have cars that beeps as an indicator of problems. Consciously, you can ignore that indicator, keep driving, still warns you, keep driving, still warns you, keep driving, still warns you. And in the night, all of a sudden, it stops. You are forced to tow that vehicle to the mechanic. Once you're done, a very intelligent individual will sit and analyze the situation. Next time, once I see that indicator, I have to go for servicing, else I would experience this problem. Most people don't do it. Because of the awareness of the existence of the towing vehicle, they are willing to repeat that mistake. Just like in the example of the guy begging for money for CS. I gave him, and I truly know he's going to repeat the same outcome. You see, this mindset is prevalent among Christians. The towing vehicle can represent God or your prayers because of the awareness that there is a God you can get on your knees and pray to. You are willing to repeat a wrong mistake foolishly because you received the desired outcome. You now somehow believe is a consequence of the excellency of your approach. A man gets married. So my dear, what is the template? How do you plan to run this household? Well, God is in control. What do you mean by that? God is in control. The translation is, suddenly, as soon as my children are about to be kicked out of school, someone would come, some destiny helper or job that solves the problem would arise. That's how most people think. As ridiculous as this concept sounds, in fact, this is a very basic idea. To enlighten individuals like us, we see this as almost impossible. But I have to calm down and see how the average man think. I prefer teachings where I would rant and be on a 4 minute motivational concept and wag my fingers and call you Paul. However, it would only inspire you, it would only motivate, leaving little to no foundation of which you can build upon. Those kind of teachings appeal to people who have a correct understanding, a purpose, where they are headed, what they want to do. Not those who are still struggling with addictions, all shades of problems. In teachings, like anything else, it is from Samaria to Judea to the uttermost part of the earth. So there are basics, these are the foundations of personal development, the wisdom concept, the wisdom concept. I too was once a victim of this wrong mindset. I somehow believe that in order to aid your manifestation process, you shouldn't plan, you shouldn't calculate. Where would the money from rent come? This business, I'm sure it would become profitable, and spend every single thing you have, because if you save or plan for the rent, somehow it means you're encouraging lack. And I almost lost my house as a consequence of that wrong mindset. Again, God stepped in. Someone, somewhere, somehow, I paid the rent. And guess what happened next year? I repeated the same mistake. About to be thrown from the house. Someone, somewhere, something, and I paid. About to repeat the same mistake, I sat down as a professional and analyzed my surroundings. No, an intelligent God will not design life for us to battle rent. There has to be a way out of this. Wrong mindset. In fact, it is actually the opposite. You're not aiding any manifestation process. For you to, in fact, if you were, let me rephrase that. If you had the desired outcome, isn't that more reason why you should plan, save? Isn't that more reason why you should invest? Exactly. So if you have to go to extreme measures or become extravagant to prove a point, then it's most likely you're not there. You're not there. Simple as that. So apply wisdom to your concepts more than this seeking for finances alone, more than the extreme hours spent in prayer, energy dissipated. Apply wisdom to every single thing you're doing. If something is not working, sit, analyze why. I've said it countless times. The problem is not the business, the problem is you. Because every business you're failing at, someone else succeeds. The problem is not the business, the problem is the person behind the business. Wisdom. So how do you get wisdom? First, I'll just run it down, I'll not over explain. First, an objective analysis of your situation. What is going wrong and what is going right? Objectively analyze, why is this going wrong? And you'll be fine. Secondly, ask for wisdom. The Bible says it perfectly. Any man who lacks wisdom should ask. This sentence, religion wasn't appended. It didn't say if any Christian or if any Muslim or if any Jew, This promise is for anybody who asks, he would receive. And let that person not be unstable. Let him not be double-minded in his receiving. So that's the first one. That's the second, you ask. The third, get materials. Materials that comes to challenge status quo. Settle on content. Read. Broaden your horizon and take action, which is the final one. Most of you just consume content, read books to become intelligent per se. You would end up like a professor, or even worse, a human encyclopedia. You would know things with little to no backing as touching results. So take action. When you read a book, when you consume content, write down at least one action you will take, and you'll be fine. As always, my friends, it's a pleasure speaking to you. I'll see you in the next one.